What's up, Zach here, and today I've got the PowerStep Dynamic Ankle Support Sock, and this is honestly one of the first real leaps in brace technology that I've seen in quite a while. It is definitely a different design than what you're used to seeing. It definitely has a little bit of a different function than what you might be used to with a brace, but it definitely serves a really kind of needed purpose in more of the injury recovery process. So let's get right into it. And thanks to PowerStep for sponsoring this video. However, all opinions on this specific product are still my own. Now, the main selling point of the Dynamic Ankle Support Sock is right on the box. PowerStep says that it supports like a brace, but wears like a sock. When you actually take it out of the box, you can see actually is made of sock material. Now, it also has a cage as well as straps around it, which we'll talk about, but the main structure of this brace is actually that of a compression sock. And so obviously the first really nice thing about this product is that you are getting the benefits of a compression sock as well as the stability, because a lot of times when you're wearing a brace, right, you have to wear a compression sock under it, whereas with this, it's just all in one package. But moving on from the polyester to the actual TPU components of this, which actually gives it the stability, is this cage that goes right here from the anterior ankle all the way down here to the midfoot. Now, as you notice, this TPU cage wraps around the entire sock and connects here in the heel. It almost creates like a heel counter like a shoe would. But what's interesting about this is this TPU cage is just flexible enough for you to wear it like a sock, but it has all these little slits here and all this expansion for so much biofeedback in whatever direction your ankle is moving. This, when it's contacting all those proprioceptors on the top and on the back of your ankle, is showing your ankle a little bit better where it's moving in space. And someone who's recovering, say, from an ankle sprain is really going to benefit from that, because a rigid brace, yes, it will stop motion of your ankle, but it's not really training the ankle on what is normal and what is abnormal. And we know from a lot of proprioceptive studies that a rigid brace actually can start to weaken the ankle and kind of weaken those proprioceptive connections from your brain to your foot, because your brain doesn't really know where your foot is in space at that point, because the brace is taking up all of that feedback. And then that is further enhanced by the physical straps on it. And what I particularly like about these straps is that they're made of TPU as well as TPE. They have a little bit of give to them, but they're also, pretty darn strong and light for what they are. Now, what's nice about these is they originate in the heel, and you can pretty much make them cross wherever on the ankle joint that you want. Honestly, I like kind of crossing them right above the malleolus or your ankle bones on both sides, and then meeting them up here with the Velcro. I think that gives you the most proprioception. However, what I noticed about these straps is they almost give like a kinesiology type feel to them. They're not necessarily the most rigid things on earth like the braces, but they have enough play in them to where your ankle is allowed to move, but enough elasticity in them that once you kind of start going a little bit too far, these things exert a tugging effect like kinesio tape would do, and just pretty much tell your brain, hey, listen, that is a little bit too far. But now we've gone over all the tech, what are the real world use cases of the Dynamic Ankle Support Sock? Now, I'll use myself as an example. Remember last year, I busted my ankle, and at first I had to be in a walking boot because my ankle was broken. It needed to be immobilized for the bone to heal, the ligament to heal. But after that, I had to get back on court, play basketball, tennis, pickleball, run to do these videos. And so what is the best way to go from, really rigid support or immobilization back to complete use of your ankle? And in the middle there has to be something to step down to, and I think this is the perfect thing to where it's actually going to be able to rehabilitate your ankle. And I think this is kind of the perfect marriage of that, whereas you get enough stability from it to where it's actually protecting, but you're also getting enough flexibility in it to where you can test that ankle out and you can actually move that ankle around without it really giving you those hard stops or kind of that artificial sense that your body is back to normal. I think this is really a nice, almost training aid as well. And I think that can kind of go for a lot of things. Number one, posterior tibial tendonitis, peroneal tendonitis, anywhere where your foot is a little bit stiffer and you're trying to kind of get that motion back and you're not really sure what is abnormal, what is normal. This is going to act a lot like a brace would, except for the fact that it's going to allow a little bit more of that motion, a little bit more of that natural motion that you're gonna want for once you actually wanna take that brace off. And remember the couple pitfalls of the Dynamic Ankle Support Sock. Number one, you cannot wear another sock underneath of it. This is your sock. They're machine washable, so you can put them in the wash with your other socks and they should be just fine. Number 2 is, I wouldn't be putting this on underneath of a brace. So if you're trying to get like double protection, these straps are gonna be a little bit too bulky and they may actually cause some irritation and just for the outer rigid brace not to work. So it's either this or a brace, or a boot. Number 3 is if you are someone who, number 1, is still having like a broken bone, you need to be in a rigid boot, right? This is not a substitute for a fracture boot. It's not a substitute also for something rigid if you do not have a ligament. So say you had a grade 3 ankle sprain or grade 3 ankle tear, I should say, where the ligament is gone and it is not back and you've elected not to have surgery. At that point, you do need something with a rigid shell. This is not for someone that just does not have a ligament. So, make sure you contact your doctor or get some imaging to make sure that you actually still do have a ligament there that can function properly. Usually when you see athletes that are wearing rigid braces, for the rest of their career, usually that means they've had a grade 3 and there's just no ligament there and they just don't want to take the time off to have surgery. Now, if you've had surgery for that and you've had an artificial ligament put in or a cadaver ligament or whatever, and you're actually trying to train that back, then yeah, this is once again the perfect companion. But just make sure that you are in the category of athlete or person that can wear something more dynamic versus something that has to be completely immobilized. But on the same vein of that you shouldn't be wearing a sock underneath it, this is just your sock, these will fit in just any shoe. Unlike a lot of braces where you gotta go up a half size, you can't wear certain shoes, you can't wear shoes with a lower ankle collar, for heel slippage, whatever. This is gonna fit into pretty much anything. And honestly, the TPU of this cage actually almost, gives a little bit more of a compression fit on the inside of the uppers of the shoes. So this actually, to me, enhances the fit of a lot of shoes I put them in versus some other braces where you're slipping out of them to kingdom come. And if you do want to pick up a pair of PowerStep's dynamic ankle support socks, I think I've enunciated that appropriately this whole video. I'll leave a link in the description below. Thanks again to PowerStep for sending these over to check out. This was a really fun product to actually try. I mean, it's just nice to see someone actually pushing brace tech forward, since being stagnated for quite a long time. So this was a very nice surprise to me. And if you want to see another video of kind of what happens when you do repeatedly sprain your ankles all the time, make sure you click into this video about Steph Curry's recurrent ankle sprains up above and subscribe down below. Respect, rubber, and foam, and I'll see you somewhere in the Sneakerverse.